They sat me next to the trash cans at my own sister's wedding. Not a joke. Right there, in the hallway, by the giant industrial bins smelling like old shrimp cocktail and wilted flowers. Everyone else was inside, celebrating. And I was shoved out, invisible. But this wasn't just about a wedding. This story started the moment I was born, 27 years ago, when my parents realized they already had their perfect child. Her name was Laya. I was the shadow, the one everyone pretended didn't exist, the one no one celebrated. And for years, I stayed silent, until the day I decided they wouldn't push me aside anymore. What happened next? Well, they'll never forget it. Growing up, every birthday party was about Laya. Every Christmas morning, the camera was pointed at Laya. Every graduation, every achievement, every milestone, Laya, Laya, Laya. I remember looking through old photo albums when I was about 15. You know what I noticed? In every single family photo, I'm either cut off at the edge or I'm standing so far to the side that you can barely see me. And in the ones where I'm actually in frame, my parents are hugging Laya. They're looking at Laya. They're smiling at Laya. I'm just standing there, like a stranger who accidentally wandered into someone else's family portrait. And the thing is, I tried. God, I tried so hard. I got straight A's. Leia got B's and C's, but somehow her report card was always on the fridge and mine was in a drawer somewhere. I won a writing competition in 10th grade. Mom said, "That's nice, honey," and went back to helping Leia pick out a homecoming dress. I learned pretty quickly that no matter what I did, I was invisible. But the journal thing? That's what really broke me. I was home from college one weekend, and I was looking for a book in Mom's room, and I found this leather-bound journal on her nightstand. I shouldn't have opened it. I know that. But I did. 300 pages. 300 pages of memories, thoughts, reflections about Leia's first steps, Leia's first day of school, Leia's first boyfriend, Leia's college acceptance, page after page after page of Leia this and Leia that. My name appeared twice in 300 pages. Once when I was born, baby girl number 2 arrived today. Leia is adjusting well to being a big sister. And once when I graduated high school, Amber graduated today. Laya looked beautiful in her dress. Even in the one entry about my graduation, it was about Laya. I closed that journal and I put it back exactly where I found it, and I went to my room and I cried for 3 hours straight. And then I stopped crying, and I made a decision. If they wanted me to be invisible, fine, I'd be invisible. I stopped trying to get their attention. I stopped fighting for recognition. I moved across the country for work. I called on holidays. I showed up when expected. I smiled. I was polite. I was quiet. And you know what? They didn't even notice. My absence was just as invisible as my presence had always been. Fast forward 6 years. I'm 32. I'm doing okay. I've got a good job, a decent apartment, a life that's mine. And then I get the call. Leia's getting married. Of course she is. To some guy named Noah who apparently comes from money. Old money. The kind of money that has a hyphenated last name and a family crest. Mom calls me and she's just gushing. "Oh, Amber, it's going to be the most beautiful wedding. The venue is this gorgeous estate upstate. 300 guests. Laya's dress is custom Vera Wang. You're going to love it." And I said, "That sounds really nice, Mom." And she said, "I'm sending you the invitation. It's going to be in October. You'll be able to make it, won't you? Not, we want you there. Not, we need you there. Not, we'd love to have you there. Just, you'll be able to make it, won't you?" Like I'm a distant cousin they felt obligated to invite, but I said yes, because what else was I going to say? The invitation came 2 weeks later. Thick, expensive cardstock with gold embossed lettering. Very fancy. Very Laya. I RSVP'd yes. Didn't bring a +1 because honestly, I didn't want to subject anyone else to my family. And then, About 2 weeks before the wedding, I got a text from Mom. "Please no drama, it's Laya's day. Just be there and smile." I stared at that text for a long time. Please no drama. Like I'm the problem. Like I'm the one who's ever caused a scene or made things difficult. I wrote back, "Of course, Mom." Wouldn't dream of it. And I meant it. I wasn't going to cause drama. But here's where the story gets interesting. See, about 6 months before all this, I did something I'm not entirely proud of, but I'm not exactly ashamed of it either. I logged into Leia's iCloud. I know, it's an invasion of privacy. It's wrong. But here's the thing. We used to share an account when we were younger, and she never changed the password. And one night, after one too many glasses of wine and one too many missed calls from my mother, I got curious. I just wanted to see. I wanted to see if she ever talked about me, if she ever mentioned me to her friends, if I existed in her world at all. What I found was so much worse than being ignored. Messages to her friends calling me the awkward one, jokes about how I was the practice child and she was the achievement, screenshots she'd sent to her bridesmaids with photos of me from Facebook, with captions like, "Pray I don't end up like this." But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was Noah. See, Leia didn't love Noah. At least not the way you're supposed to love someone you're about to marry. I found months of messages between her and her ex-boyfriend Marcus. Messages that were explicit, romantic, ongoing. And mixed in with all the "I miss you" and "I love you" texts to Marcus, there were messages to her friends about Noah. He's boring, but he's loaded. 2 years and I can divorce him and take half, right? I'm just securing the bag, girls. Marcus and I will be together once I'm set for life. Noah's family has a house in the Hamptons. A house! Can you imagine? I sat there at my laptop reading these messages, and I felt physically sick. Not just because of what she was doing to Noah, who, from everything I could see, seemed like a genuinely kind person, but because this was who my sister was. This was the golden child, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. And I thought about Noah's face in all the engagement photos, the way he looked at her like she hung the moon, the way he talked about their future in the comments on her posts. And I made another decision. I started taking screenshots. Every message, every conversation, every plan. I organized them by date. I printed them out, all of them, in full color. And I bought a beautiful silver gift box with a white silk ribbon. Now back to the wedding day. I drove up on a Friday afternoon. The wedding was on Saturday. I checked into a Holiday Inn about 20 minutes from the venue, and I spent that evening ironing my dress and assembling my gift. The screenshots went into the box, organized chronologically. I included a small note on top that just said, "Every groom deserves to know the truth before he says, 'I do.'" These are from the last 6 months. I wrapped it beautifully. I tied the ribbon perfectly. It looked like any other wedding gift. Saturday morning, I did my makeup carefully. I wore this red dress that I'd bought specifically for the occasion. Not white, I'm not a monster, but red, bold, visible. For once in my life, I wanted to be seen. I arrived at the venue around noon. The ceremony wasn't until 3, but there was a whole setup happening, preparations, photos, all that stuff. The estate was beautiful, I'll give them that. Rolling gardens, a massive white tent, flowers everywhere, very Pinterest-worthy. I walked in with my gift box, and immediately this wedding coordinator swooped in. "Name?" she asked, scanning her clipboard. "Amber Hartley," I said. "Sister of the bride." She looked at me, then at her clipboard, then back at me, and her smile got a little tighter. "Oh, yes, okay. So, we had a bit of a seating situation. We're actually going to have you at table. Let me show you." She walked me through the main reception hall, past all these beautifully decorated round tables with fancy centerpieces and place cards in calligraphy, and into a hallway. There was a folding table, the kind you buy at Costco. a metal folding chair, a paper plate and plastic cutlery. And about 3 feet away, 2 large gray industrial trash cans. The coordinator gave me this apologetic smile that wasn't really apologetic at all. It's just because we had some last-minute additions to the guest list, and, well, space is tight, but you'll still be able to hear the speeches. I looked at the table. I looked at the trash cans. I looked back at her. "This is fine," I said. "Thank you." She seemed relieved that I wasn't making a scene, and she scurried away. I stood there for a moment, just taking it in. The trash can table, at my own sister's wedding. And then I heard heels clicking on the marble floor. Leia appeared around the corner in her dress. And I have to admit, she looked beautiful. The dress was stunning. Her hair and makeup were flawless. She looked like a princess. She saw me and stopped. Her bridesmaids, 4 of them, all in matching dusty rose gowns, stopped behind her. "Oh," she said, "you came." "Of course I came," I said. "I wouldn't miss it." She looked me up and down, took in the red dress. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Red? Really?" "You didn't specify a color scheme for guests," I said calmly. One of her bridesmaids whispered something and they all giggled. Leia stepped closer, and her expression shifted into this smile that I'd seen 1,000 times growing up. The smile that said she was about to say something cruel disguised as a joke. She leaned in, and in a voice just loud enough for her bridesmaids to hear, she said, "Nice table placement, by the way." "Guess you don't count." They all laughed, not even trying to hide it. And I felt something inside me go very still and very cold. I smiled back at her, a real smile. "Congratulations, Leia," I said. "I hope you get everything you deserve." She looked confused for a second, like she expected me to cry or get angry, but I just stood there, smiling. "Thanks," she said finally. "Ceremony starts at 3. Try not to be too visible, okay? This day is about me." And she walked away, her bridesmaids trailing behind her, their laughter echoing down the hall. I stood there for another moment, and then I walked to the gift table. It was in the main reception hall, covered in elegantly wrapped presents, big boxes, small boxes, envelopes that probably contained checks with a lot of zeros. I placed my silver box right in the center, front and center. Impossible to miss. I adjusted the ribbon until it was perfect, and then I walked out. I didn't stay for the ceremony. I didn't wait around. I just got in my car and I drove. I checked my phone obsessively for the next few hours as I drove toward Boston. No calls, no texts. The ceremony was probably happening. Then the cocktail hour. Then dinner. I was about 2 hours away when my phone started blowing up. First, my mom. "Amber, what did you do?" Then my dad. "Call me immediately." Then Leia. "You bitch!" Then a number I didn't recognize. "This is Noah's mother. I don't know who you are, but thank you." I pulled over at a rest stop and I scrolled through the messages, my hands shaking. Apparently they opened gifts during the reception. It's a thing some weddings do, open the cards and gifts at the table while dinner is being served. Leia opened my box, in front of everyone. Noah was sitting right next to her. His mother was at the head table. 300 guests were watching. She pulled out the first screenshot, then another, then another. According to the messages I was getting, from my mom, from relatives, from people I hadn't heard from in years, this is what happened. Noah went white, completely white. He picked up some of the screenshots and just stared at them. Leia started laughing nervously, saying it was a joke, that someone photoshopped them, that it wasn't real. But Noah's mother stood up. She's apparently this very proper, very dignified woman, and she walked over and picked up a handful of the screenshots. She read them carefully. And then she turned to Leia and said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "Is this true?" Leia started crying, the kind of crying that's meant to manipulate. "Mrs. Whitmore, I can explain, it's not what it looks like." Noah stood up. He looked at Leia. He looked at his mother. He looked at the screenshots scattered across the table, and he walked out. Just walked right out of his own wedding reception. His mother followed him. Laya completely lost it. She was screaming, sobbing. Bridesmaids were trying to calm her down. Guests were pulling out their phones, filming everything. My mother was crying. My father was trying to talk to Noah's family. The wedding planner was panicking, and Laya kept screaming my name, kept saying this was my fault, that I ruined everything. Someone called the police because they thought there was going to be a physical altercation. The reception ended early. People just started leaving. I sat in that rest stop parking lot reading all of this, and I felt nothing. No, that's not true. I felt relief. I started driving again, and I didn't stop until I got to Boston. I checked into a nice hotel near the harbor. I ordered room service, a burger and fries and a bottle of wine. I sat by the window and I watched the city lights. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from family members, mostly angry, some confused. A few from cousins I barely knew saying things like, "Holy shit," and "I can't believe you did that." My mom left a voicemail. She was crying. "How could you do this to your sister? On her wedding day? What is wrong with you? You've always been jealous of her, but this is unforgivable." I deleted it. Laya sent me a long text calling me every name in the book, saying I was bitter and pathetic and alone, and that I'd destroyed her life because I couldn't stand to see her happy. I blocked her number. My dad called. I didn't answer. He left a message saying we needed to talk, that what I did was wrong, but maybe there was a way to fix this as a family. I turned off my phone. I finished my wine. I took a long shower. I put on the hotel bathrobe and I sat on the bed and I stared at the wall. And you know what I felt? Peace. For the first time in my entire life, I felt like I'd actually done something. Something that mattered. Something that had an impact. Not for me. I didn't do it for revenge, not really. I did it for Noah, because he deserved to know, because nobody should marry someone who sees them as a bank account. The next morning, I woke up early. The sun was just coming up over the harbor, painting everything gold and pink and orange. I made coffee with the little hotel room coffee maker. I sat by the window and watched the sunrise. My phone was still off. I didn't turn it on. I spent the day walking around Boston. I went to a museum. I had lunch at this little cafe. I sat in the public garden and read a book. That evening, I finally turned my phone back on. Hundreds of messages, but one caught my eye. It was from Noah. "I don't know if this will reach you, but if it does, thank you. I wish it hadn't happened like that, but I'm grateful to know the truth. My mother wanted me to tell you that you're welcome at our home anytime. We're planning legal action. The wedding has been annulled." I read it 3 times. Annulled. It hadn't even been 48 hours. There were other messages too. One from Noah's sister. "You saved my brother's life. Thank you." One from a guest at the wedding I vaguely recognized. "That was the most dramatic thing I've ever witnessed, and honestly, good for you." One from a cousin. "Laya's friends are tearing her apart on social media. It's brutal. Mom and Dad are taking a break to process things. Everyone's asking questions they should have asked years ago." I didn't respond to any of them. I spent 3 more days in Boston, just thinking, processing, being alone with my thoughts. And I realized something. For 27 years, I thought my silence meant I was weak. That not fighting back, not demanding attention, not causing scenes made me lesser somehow. But I wasn't weak. I was patient. I was watching. I was waiting. I was seeing things that everyone else was too dazzled to notice. And when the time came when it really mattered, I didn't scream. I didn't throw a tantrum. I didn't make a scene. I just told the truth. The loudest revenge is the one nobody sees coming. On the 4th day, I drove home. Back to my apartment, my job, my quiet life. My parents tried calling a few more times. I didn't answer. Eventually, they stopped. Laya sent me one final message from a new number. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything." I wrote back, "I didn't destroy anything. I just showed everyone what was already there." Then I blocked that number too. 6 months later, I heard through the family grapevine that Laya moved to California. That Marcus wanted nothing to do with her after everything went public. That she's working some regular job now, no fancy house in the Hamptons, no trust fund marriage. Noah's apparently dating someone new, someone his mother actually likes. My parents sent me a Christmas card. Just a card. No gift, no personal note, just their names signed at the bottom. I didn't send one back. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I spent my whole life trying to be seen by people who were determined not to see me. And I finally realized I don't need them to see me. I see myself. I'm not the invisible daughter anymore. I'm not the one who doesn't count. I'm the one who counted when it mattered. I'm the one who told the truth when everyone else was living a lie. And if that makes me the villain in their story, fine, I'm at peace with that. Because in my story, I'm finally the main character.